Welcome to our April 14th IDA Board of Directors regular meeting. Jasmine, would you please take the roll call?
Tim Dean,
Present.
Mark Doyle,
Present.
Kathy Bauer,
Present.
Amy Bondieri,
Present.
Jamie Picone,
Present.
Don Sagliano, Al Torgiani.
Present.
Okay, next thing on the agenda, of course, is our conflict of interest disclosure. And I have two this morning. Myself, I have a conflict with the Fox Run at Fulton project. They are having discussions with one of our divisions in regards to insurance matters. So I have a conflict there. And I also have a conflict for North Cross LLC because my firm does provide some insurance services to a affiliate or subsidiary of that company. So Mark Doyle will be running those aspects of the meetings. Does anybody else have a conflict of interest that they need to disclose?
I do, Tim. I have a conflict with North Cross.
Okay, and just please state your name just so we get that in the record.
Amy Bondieri.
Okay, your firm does has a business matters with them, is that correct?
Yes, we were representing them on a couple different aspects of the project.
Okay, so both Amy and I will be stepping out of the meeting during those discussions and we will be brought back in afterwards. Is there anybody else that has a conflict that we need to talk about? Okay, if at any time during the meeting something comes up that becomes a conflict, please be sure to let us know. The proof of meeting notice was posted, Sarah?
Yes, it was published on April 9th.
Okay, bills and communications, anything that we need to talk about?
No bills and communications this month.
Okay, we do need to approve some minutes. The first set of minutes is the March 3rd, 2021 minutes. We had approved those previously, but it was brought to our attention that I had mentioned in the meeting that the reason that Al Torgiani was not present was that he had disclosed a conflict of interest. His company, Key Construction, is providing quotations for the USEF Amazon project. So he will not be attending the meeting today. Those were omitted, those comments were omitted from the minutes. So we have amended them and we will ask for those to be approved as amended. And then the second set is the meeting minutes from the March 19th, 2021 meeting. Does anybody have any changes or corrections that need to be made to those meetings after reviewing them? Okay, if not, I would take a motion to approve both the amended March 3rd minutes and the March 19th minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve as written and corrected.
Thank you, Al Torgiani. Can I get a second?
Mark Doyle, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Jasmine, will you please take a vote to approve those?
Al Torgiani,
Approved.
Jamie Picone,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. Okay, let's move on to the report of the treasurer.
Good morning. This is Marilyn Yerk speaking. Looking at the balance sheet, we currently have 2.6 million in cash. Towards the bottom, you will see an accounts payable of 136,000. Those were pilot payments. All of the pilot payments at this point have been received and have been dispersed to the taxing authorities. Looking at the P&L, we have for other fees we've received so far 450,000, which is above our budgeted amount, and that constitutes Violet's Estates, Amazon, or USEF, and Hatfield. So the P&L looks good. I don't have any comments or anything noteworthy. If anyone has any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Marilyn? Okay, I'm correct in stating that we do not need to approve any of this. It was advisory to us, correct? Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is, bear with me. Is there any other reports of committees at this time, sir?
There are no reports from committees at this time.
Okay, so we'll move on to unfinished business. The first piece of business is consideration and approval of a final resolution for MHTC Development LLC, which we also know as Eastdale Village. It's authorizing an amendment to the master agreement to include 2 additional parcels, to extend the completion date, to increase the sales tax exemption benefit in the amount of $286,901, and to increase the mortgage tax or the mortgage recording tax exemption benefit in the amount of $661,336. Sarah or Don, do you have some comments that you'd like to just summarize this?
So we have John Hedinger and Joe Kirchhoff with us this morning. They made a extensive presentation at the March 19th meeting. We did a public hearing on the project yesterday morning. A copy of the transcript and the written comments were forwarded to the board yesterday for your review. As you said, Tim, it is a request to add 2 additional parcels to the project scope, as well as a increase in sales tax and mortgage tax exemptions. They will be creating an additional an approximate 30 new jobs with this expanded scope.
As we have discussed in prior meetings, this project has performed to date as they presented to us. They are moving along with their rentals of both residential and commercial space. Does any board member have any questions about this project and this amendment since we last met?
Chairman Dean, I have a question.
Yes.
How do we come up with the 31 FTEs?
Sarah, should we ask John to talk about that, or do you want to talk about that?
John can ask where the 31 came from.
Absolutely. So we actually have 32 that we're adding, 31 owing to the additional commercial density and 1 owing to the additional residential density, just the amount of staffing and management intensity from the additional units. But just given what we've seen in terms of the types of businesses that we're trying to attract within Eastdale and the traction that we've gotten so far, we're confident that we can, even though the 31 would be a little bit more, I think, than the commercial square foot that we're adding, confident that we can get there based on what we've seen and observed from the businesses that are coming in so far. Recognizing again, the impact of COVID and what that's had on the overall attitude towards business growth. It was really looking sort of meticulously at the sort of mosaic or cross section, if you will, of the types of users that we're trying to bring into this community to make it complete, and drafting off of what we've seen come into the town center so far.
Maybe you could just give some examples of the types of businesses that you are looking to, fill that space with. Not that it's guaranteed, but what you're trying to attract.
Absolutely. So anything that you would see coming into a sort of a self-sustaining community, if you will. So so far we've seen medical users, we've seen service businesses such as accounting, physical therapy, boutique retail, a number of proprietary restaurant and catering businesses. And what we'd like to do is continue to attract professional services. We'd like to continue to attract best-in-class restaurateurs. We'd like to attract best-in-class legal, accounting, additional users like that. And then Joe, if you'd like to add anything to that based on what we're trying to do. It really is making sure that, or trying to make sure that these businesses are proven, they're best of the Hudson Valley and local and looking to grow.
Joe, did you want to add anything?
Oh, I just think the blend also is we're very proud of the fact that we have several, right now maybe 5 brand new startups that gives people an opportunity that they wouldn't normally have. So with the IDA help in the program and the town and our help, we're getting these people kind of elevated quickly to try to be successful in business. But we vet these people very carefully. We help them with their business plan and their modeling of their numbers, and we really go. It takes a tremendous amount of time, but it's very satisfying, and we just help them through the process, and we're bringing more people to open new businesses in the county. So we're proud of those 5 or 6, and we have like 2 more coming in the next phase that we're hopeful of.
So the businesses that so far have come in, what is the jobs that they have developed so far?
The quantity, Tim?
Yeah.
John, do you have that number exactly today?
I want to say we are, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I want to say we're north of 80 in terms of what has been in there so far.
So so your predictions are based partly on that as well, what you've seen in the ones that you've already brought in.
Correct. And it's not a linear thing because
Understood.
we have one large, but yeah.
Yes. Okay, Jamie, did that answer your question?
Yeah, yes.
Are there any other questions from the board? Okay. Again, I don't want people to think that we're giving this short shift because we've had some extensive discussions with this applicant in the past meetings as well as in their initial presentation for this whole project. So I think I can speak for myself that I feel confident that this project can deliver on its numbers based on their success so far. And, it seems to be exactly what the municipalities wanted for that spot, and the concept of a walkable community with businesses tied to it, was exactly what their master plan asked for. So I'm happy about that. If there are no other questions from the board, I would entertain a motion to approve this amended master agreement.
Mark Doyle, I would make a motion to approve the resolution as provided.
Okay.
Al Turgeon will second that motion.
Okay. Jasmine, could you please take a vote on this final resolution?
Amy Bondieri,
Approve.
Jamie Picone,
Approve.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Al Torgiani,
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. Okay, that takes care of that item. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies involved with the project, and keep it going.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, that takes us to the final resolution for Fox Run, and for me, that's a conflict. And of course, as mentioned, North Cross. So I will be stepping out for those two, and Mark, you will take over, and then Amy will be removed for her conflicts. And then we'll see you back when you're done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, and Tim has moved to the waiting room. So-
Thank you. So perhaps for everybody's benefits, Sarah, there's a lot of documentation here on the packet. You're on page, 103 or something like that for Fox Run?
Yes.
Thank you, just to get everybody in the right spot. Good morning, Mark Doyle. I wonder, Sarah, and if you could just lead off with a summary of the project, and then perhaps we can see where we go from there in terms of questions and any presentation needed.
Sure. So Fox Run is a project that proposes to invest approximately $17 million to develop a property along Fulton Street, otherwise known as 10 Campus View Court. It is a approximately 93,000 square foot commercial residential apartments targeted to people who may prefer to work remotely and prefer proximity to the train station and such. It will compose of 69 residential units, a business center, some conference rooms and meeting rooms, as well as some other residential amenities. The applicant is requesting sales and mortgage tax exemptions. There is no pilot associated with this project. They do anticipate creating 2 permanent jobs with the project and 125 construction jobs. With us this morning, we have Kelly Leibold, who is representing the applicant. And we held the public hearing on the matter on Monday. Written comments and the written transcript of the public hearing were forwarded to the board.
Very good. So if, unless our counsel, Don Capolino, would like to add to that, I do have a couple of questions, and we'll see where we go from there. Is there any addition from council?
Yeah, I would just say that yesterday we provided a clarification or correction to the amount of sales and use taxes, the maximum amount permitted here. So we provided a black line to the board showing the 3 places where we had used the previous request and not included the later number that was included in the amended application. So we apologize for that error, but we did pick it up and we sent that on to the board so that they could see it. You'll see, I mean, it's the same all the way through, but you'll see that the sales and use tax amount is $969,718.75, not $446,875. So when you're moving the resolution on this particular matter, you should move the resolution as amended and presented to the board yesterday.
Very good. Thank you. And then in sort of following up from the initial presentation, there was some questions. Certainly I had some questions. And I think the 2 stand out, and that is the creation of a separate lot for, and when that will happen, but perhaps more importantly, a question of commercial standing of this project. And certainly it's my understanding that this is a fully rental project for the expected duration of its lifetime, but because we want to make sure that this meets the terms of our IDA mission, and being a commercial project is obviously one of those requirements. So Sarah and Don, if you have any comment on that, but also Kelly Leibold.
So I can start, or Don, you look like you're about to talk.
Yeah, I mean, very quickly, I don't think there's any question that these residential commercial projects are considered commercial. meeting the tests of, as I indicated, I think to you, Vice Chairman Doyle, there, you know, there's clear authority that the IDA has the ability that to provide this kind of relief. And you have your own policies in that matter. And I know that you're reviewing that policy. This has come up and so before you decide on the present policy.
Yeah, thank you. Indeed. Sarah, and we'd also discussed the separation of the lot occurring at a date before the commencement of this agreement as well.
Yes, and actually Kelly could probably talk a little bit more about the status of that.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Kelly Leibolt with Page Park Associates, and the lots I think that you're talking about have already been created. So this is a separate lot, separate tax ID number. Those lots were filed either the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021. We've received confirmation from Dutchess County and the town of Poughkeepsie assessor that the new lot has been created and the new tax ID numbers have been created. I think that may have been shared with Elizabeth through our council, and if not, we'll certainly make sure that that gets over to her today.
Wonderful.
And yes, this is Liz Capolina. Just from when we were sending drafts of the company lease and the lease agreement back and forth, counsel for the company did provide the amended tax lot to clarify that in the lease agreement. So we'll make sure that the lease agreement has the updated tax numbers in there.
Thank you. I'm hogging the airwaves here. Does anybody else on the board have any questions? And perhaps, Sarah, if there are any questions from members not able to attend, that you're able to include those.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any questions from the board. There are just a couple things I'd like to just add to what I said previously is according to the Dutchess County rental housing report, it does state that the county vacancy rate is still very low at 1.5%. So this housing project would contribute to relieve some of that low vacancy rate, as the report indicates that a 5% vacancy rate is considered a healthy rental market.
Great.
Mr. Vice Chairman, am I permitted to speak? I just had a few comments that I wanted to address the board that were raised at yesterday's public hearing, if you would allow that.
Absolutely, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So there were comments that were raised yesterday at the public hearing, and we thought that it was important to address them. The comments that were raised were relative to an adjoining parcel, so a separate project. But I thought that it was important just to address them with the board because I think they raised some questions that required answers. The first had to do with a lawsuit, a challenge to an assessed value that was made on, again, this adjoining parcel. And the history about that is that when we received the assessment in that year, there was a significant increase in the assessed value. It was our understanding that based on the contracts and the agreements that we have with the town of Poughkeepsie that are filed with Dutchess County, that the assessor was barred from that significant of an increase. Once we determined that that was not the case, we withdrew the litigation. We filed the litigation because we were time barred, and so we needed to establish a position with respect to that challenge. And again, once we realized that the assessor was within their full rights, that litigation was withdrawn. The owner of that adjoining parcel, obviously common ownership, has invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into that site. That site was contaminated, and it was an unknown contamination. So the owner, we removed all that contamination. In some areas, that contamination was almost 20 feet deep. That project is a safe multifamily housing project. It fixed a very, very well-known safety issue that was in that neighborhood, not just in that small area, but in that neighborhood with respect to college student parties, unsafe structures, etc. If you talk to the representatives of the town of Poughkeepsie, and certainly for that ward, they will tell you that that project alone has resulted in a complete transformation of that neighborhood. We now see these houses that were formerly used by students being sold back to single family residences. And that is a wonderful modification to that community. That project, again, I'm still talking about the adjoining project, has resulted in over $500,000 of recreation fees being paid to the town of Poughkeepsie. Mortgage tax to the county, almost $300,000. Sales tax over $2 million. The taxes on that property, it is fully taxable. There are no assistance, no benefits, no grants. Over the life of that project, taxes to the town have been $1.99 million. Taxes to the fire district, $670,000. Taxes to the school, Hyde Park School District, with no impact to the school. There's no children, age students living in that community, over $2 million. In total, over the life of that project, $4.6 million have been paid to the taxing jurisdictions. The current project, as I discussed before, was designed in 2018, 2019. We fully expected that we were going to build this project commencing in the spring of 2020. Of course, everyone knows what happens with COVID. We had to take on this project, and we completely redesigned this project almost 4 times through 2 construction managers. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to figure out how we can bring the project into budget and seek the financing that we were looking for. I'm sure many of you know, because you probably all have mortgages on your house, when you get financing for a house or you get financing for a project like this, the bank looks at comps. You cannot just go to the bank and say, well, we're just going to raise the rent. And so therefore, with that additional revenue, the project will value out. I'm sure that Joe Kirchhoff and Tom Mulroy can explain to you that they go through that same process with their projects. Over and over again, when this project was redesigned and redesigned and redesigned, we were $2 million over. Why? Because of the construction materials. And I'm kind of tired of everyone blaming COVID, but here's a particular example that COVID is the problem. We worked diligently to try to value engineer again for over a year. Same problem, the construction materials. Everyone thought that prices would stabilize in the spring of this year, and they're not. I don't think any of us will sit here and try to explain why they're not, but they're not. They're actually going up. This is a very humble family. They've never been before the county asking for assistance. They've never been before the state asking for assistance. Their company in totality employs over 30 people. With their affiliated companies that they have, there's another 100 families that they employ. This is the way that they have really silently affected communities, families, neighborhoods. And this is an intangible positive asset that I'm hoping that this board sees, not only with our application, with the Eastdale application, with Tom Mulroy's application. This particular project will be fully assessed. It will pay full taxes. There will be no benefits that will be sought. If we're correct on our assessment, it will probably be assessed between $7 and $10 million. That results in another $400,000 to $500,000 in taxes going to the town, the school district, the county. Over 150 construction jobs, 2 additional full-time equivalent jobs, and an estimated additional $250,000 in recreational fees that will go to the town of Poughkeepsie, totaling over $750,000. So this project does have positive impacts. Many of those are intangible. Much of those have been discussed, very similar to other projects. We are not asking for a pilot. We are simply asking for assistance in the form of the sales tax exemption and the mortgage tax exemption. Again, we've tried diligently to avoid coming to this board and asking for this assistance, but in order to receive this financing, so this project does the pro forma works, we are asking for this assistance. So I'm hoping that answers some of the questions that were raised yesterday.
Thank you. That is very helpful. And particularly on the component of the contribution to the community. I wonder if it would be possible to speak to the location relative to the sort of the urban infill component and transit orientation.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last two things. The infill and the what?
So urban infill
Mhm.
and transit orientation.
Okay, sure. So this particular project is actually a redevelopment of an existing parcel that many of you know was used for commercial purposes for many years. It was very heavily contaminated, and all of that remediation has been repaired and addressed with New York State DEC. So it is a classic adaptive reuse of an existing property. I don't know if I would necessarily call it an urban refill, but we are in a suburban area. And we are fulfilling a much needed requirement for a housing. We envision that this is going to address many workforce issues. So we have provided housing that's going to have many business-like amenities with work areas, conference rooms, meeting areas, et cetera, for people on the lower level that can be rented and utilized so that people could truly work from home. As far as transit oriented, this project will be located immediately adjacent to the rail trail. It's my understanding, and I have not seen the design, that this rail trail is envisioned to be more than the rail trails that we've seen of late, much more of a medium for people to get to different businesses in the community, whether it's walking or riding their bikes. This property is near the train station, which we think will be very advantageous for people who may be commuting, et cetera. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does, thank you. Does anybody else on the board have questions?
I just wanted to add a little bit, is also in close proximity to another IDA project, which is Hudson Heritage. So it is walkable from there as well, so.
Very good, meaning there is also a supermarket proposed for that location.
Yes.
And these two projects, those two projects will actually be connected, not only the conventional transit system with roadways, but also with the rail trail. So that trail will connect this project to the other project that you're referencing.
Very good. Would a member of the board like to make a motion?
Al Torrigiani, I'll make a motion to approve.
And a second.
Amy Bombardieri, I'll second.
And for clarification, Mr. Chairman, for clarification, you want to make it clear that that includes the amendment that was sent out to the board for the increased sales tax number.
Al, could you restate that motion, please?
I'll make a motion as amended to approve.
Okay, thank you. I think we have that clear enough. Don, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And so then, Jasmine, would you please take a roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Did someone second?
Yes,
Amy.
Amy Bombardieri, I'll second as amended.
All right. Perhaps we're having a little bit of sound trouble. Is everybody hearing well enough? Good. All right. And Jasmine, would you be able to take a roll call, please?
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Jamie Pacone,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Al Torrigiani,
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Approved. So thank you, everyone. That is a clear result on our position on this project, and we look forward to seeing it happen. So, the start time is going to be when about? When will you start construction?
Oh,
Sorry, I wasn't able to unmute. The start time for this project would be within the next few weeks.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your assistance.
So thank you. So the next project is on page North Cross 215 or thereabout, is that correct?
It should be 113.
Mm,
North Cross resolution.
13.
No,
No, of your amended packet.
oh,
I have it on page 215 of mine.
let me see.
Get everybody on the same.
That's right. That's correct.
Is that correct for yours?
Very good. All right. So are we able to take a presentation? This is essentially the first time we're having a presentation of any form
Yes.
regarding this project, and look forward to hearing it.
Yes. So I just want to make a comment that for the record, Amy Bombardieri has been put into the waiting room due to her conflict. So North Cross is in front of the board this morning. They are a project also known as Jeffrey Groves Estates, to be located in the town of Hyde Park. It is a project that will construct a 50-unit rental townhouse community that aims to serve and attract young families to the area. The project will consist of 8 cluster townhouse buildings on a currently vacant 25-acre lot. Open space will be integrated as part of the project, providing public walking and hiking trails to the residents of not only the project, but also the community. The applicant has stated that if IDA benefits are approved, that they would be able to provide a discounted rental price for targeted workforce populations. The applicant states that the targeted workforce applicants would include local police officers, firefighters, EMT workers, and teachers working in Hyde Park. Also, as part of the project, but separate from the application, a related entity will be building a sewer system that will be expandable, that will be able to support not only this project, but future developments in the area. This morning, we have Lauren O'Neill from the representing the applicant, and she's here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. My name is Lauren O'Neill. I'm here with Finn O'Neill on behalf of North Cross. I have a quick presentation. I think Sarah kind of covered most of my talking points, but if you would indulge me in sharing my screen for a moment. Oh, for some reason. Oh, here we go. Did that work? Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna try and keep this really succinct and really quick. So the Jeffrey Groves project is located in Hyde Park. It's in the hamlet of Strattsburg. Just a quick about us. So Jeffrey Groves is owned by North Cross, which is a subsidiary of the collaborative effort between One Key as general contractor and the O'Neill Group as developer. We're a family-owned and operated business. This collaborative team has a breadth of experience in repositioning distressed assets throughout the tri-state area. One Key, as a general contractor, has successfully completed hundreds of construction projects over the last 35 years. Broad range, we're really well versed in this type of construction ground up. Here's some of our experience. So all the way to the left, you can see what many of you may know as the One Duchess project in Poughkeepsie. We were responsible for that project. That was actually a brownfield cleanup that was completed in 2014, which then resulted in the ground up construction of 384 residential units, as well as 13,000 square feet of commercial space. In the middle, you can see what kind of the inside of one of those projects looks like. We pride ourselves in completing our projects on schedule, in the most economically feasible way, so usually in phases. We utilize high quality workmanship, premium materials, as well as green technology is important to us. All the way on the right, That's a project we have in Connecticut. I just wanted to show you that because something we really pride ourselves on is integrating these kinds of rental assets seamlessly into the area so they don't stick out as anything that doesn't belong there. This project was done in connection with the Connecticut Department of Housing, as well as the Connecticut State Historic Preservation Office, the National Park Service, and the Connecticut Housing Financing Authority. So we have a lot of experience working with local agencies and and Dutchess County in general has kind of been our target area. You can see our Poughkeepsie project. We have another one coming up in Hyde Park in the future, and we're pursuing a couple other projects in the area. So here's just a really preliminary rendering of the project at hand today. It's an approved 50-unit townhouse rental community. It's going to be market rate. Our target demographic is young families as well as workforce tenants to the extent we can. The project will be 8 cluster townhouses on what has been vacant 25 acres in the area. We've been pursuing the project since 2013. Each unit will be approximately 2,000 square feet, over 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, as well as a 1-car garage with a driveway. And again, we're committed to utilizing green technology in the form of LED light fixtures, low flow plumbing, Energy Star appliances, cementous hardy plank in lieu of vinyl, zip panels, and R19 insulation. This is kind of the cool place where our intentions line up with the intentions of everyone. Because we hold all of our projects, we try to use the highest quality materials, the best green technology in order to pass those savings down to our tenants. Really bird's eye view of some community benefits of the project. It fills a need. As of the 2019 Dutchess County Housing Survey, the Hyde Park vacancy rate was 0.7%, so less than 1%, not really a healthy vacancy rate. Additionally, there were only 2 3-bedroom rental units in Hyde Park, so this fills that gap as well. The second point Sarah had touched on, we want to provide quality workforce housing. So these benefits, we had actually initially wanted the entire project to be workforce housing, but because we couldn't come to an agreement with the town on a pilot, that just wasn't economically feasible. So what we're trying to do is utilize the IDA benefits to pass through a discount to tenants in those different fields that Sarah touched on, including the local police officers, firefighters, emergency medical service providers, and teachers working within the area. We'll have an expandable sewage treatment plant, which would be great to attract more development into the area. We're building that with a subsidiary, and we're coming out of pocket on that. For job creation, the project will directly create at least 20 to 40 construction jobs, and it'll also directly create 3 salaried positions permanently that will increase available income in the town by over 185,000. There's a lot of indirect jobs as well. I'm not really going to get into the weeds of it, but I will pass on this PowerPoint that has all those numbers in it later on for everyone to look at their own convenience. And then lastly, open space. We have 2 open space areas that are going to remain undeveloped. They'll remain in their natural state, and they'll offer residents and neighbors numerous walking and hiking trails. So here's the economic benefits of the project. The construction phase, you have an increase of over 14 million in local income, as well as 180 local jobs supported. Of course, 20 to 40 of those are the direct, but then 140 indirect jobs. And then the annual and reoccurring effects of the project is an increase in over $3 million of local income, as well as 54 local jobs supported. So this figure actually, it came out of the report, but this figure, the revenue is actually underestimated because when we had initially gone out and got the market study, it was based on us receiving a pilot. So even from day one, the revenue outweighs the costs, and 15 years down the line, we're looking at a $7 million surplus to the governing entities. And then here is all these different breakdowns of the different sectors that the increased economic benefits come to. Again, like I said, I don't think we should get into the details, but I will pass this along for anyone who's interested in looking at it. So that's it by way of presentation. I hope I kind of gave everyone a broad overview. If anyone has any questions, Finn and I would be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. So I think that the sort of a follow-up from, where our previous discussion of previous projects, and not just today, but in the past, is, the essence of fitting this project to our IDA mission. And so clearly it's a residential project, but its commercial nature is the key question in that respect. I guess that's my first question, to understand the extent of that commercial nature. And also, if you wouldn't mind, a bit of detail to expand on the location as it would pertain to comprehensive plan, walkable town center, energy use going forward. IDA is now, due to state priorities, being motivated to request an energy component. And I think we've heard a bit of the community contribution, but any further detail on that. But principally, my question would be on the sort of the long-term commercial nature as opposed to residential nature of this project.
Right. So, well, not necessarily long-term commercial, but short-term commercial. Obviously, the construction, job creation, as well as we, in completing One Duchess, we've almost entirely utilized local subcontractors, local businesses when it comes to supplies, local suppliers for everything. That's really important to us, is that most of our suppliers are within the county, and if not available, then the state. We try not to go outside of the state. Long term, I mean, you have the indirect necessity for jobs created for this kind of, 50 families. That's a big jump in population for the area. Additionally, you have the utility aspect of, we have this expandable sewer treatment plant that's now available to increase development that may not have been possible before. Someone wants to build a single family house, but it's too much of a burden on the current infrastructure. They're not going to be able to invest $1.5 million to build their own. So now we're offering that to them. Ben, I don't know if you have anything else you want to suggest.
In addition, we're bringing the water line that's close to High Mountain Road, another 1,200 feet east to the project, which will allow some of the people east of our project to tie into that water supply if need be, or indeed if there's other developers or the county that wants to bring it on out to 9G, we're bringing it closer there at our cost.
This is Al Turgeon. You're bringing the water line up to the entrance of your location?
Yes, from High Mountain Road.
On 9G?
Sorry?
On 9G?
Sorry, the project is probably about halfway between 9 and 9G.
Correct. Yes. I know where it is. I'm from Hyde Park.
Oh, okay. So we're bringing the water from High Mountain Road east towards 9G, 1,200 additional feet.
Right. And because I remember this project from years ago, it was like almost 300 units originally. So is that how are you going to is 9G going to have access to that water and sewer tie-in, the homes on 9G itself in that area?
Certainly, it's something that would have to be approved by Dutchess County, of course, but we have no objection to the neighbors having access to that pipe that we install.
Very good. Al, do you have further questions?
No.
Okay. Upon looking at the site, I'm from the eastern side of the county, just to familiarize myself. I do see that it is comprised of a number of small lots. And so this project is stated as being of 25 acres. What are we looking at there as in terms of this being consolidated into one lot, or am I incorrect in the small lots?
So when the project was originally conceived many years ago, the thought was to create for sale housing. Of course, that market fell apart, and today it's just not feasible. The financial institutions will not finance for sale housing at that significant scale. So originally when it was conceived, the lots were created for that specific purpose. But as rental housing now, it will be all considered one project.
So legally, how we're attacking that is we're setting up a homeowners association to kind of just for down the line protection, but we are considering erasing the lot lines. That's a conversation we're actively having with the town itself. So that's kind of a back and forth. We're not sure, but legally speaking, they will be one. They'll work as one lot, but it's whether we're going to erase the lot lines or not. We have to work with them on that.
It would seem that a single lot locks in the commercial nature of the project in terms of it being permanently a rental situation, as opposed to being able to turn it around and selling those houses.
Yeah, we have absolutely no intention of selling them, but if it would make you more comfortable, yeah, we'll definitely broach that subject a little more.
The sewer treatment plant would have to remain on a separate lot anyway, so that lot would remain, but the other lots could be merged.
Yeah, we were just kind of honestly waiting to see. It had to do with tax assessment processes down the line. Kind of depends on that stuff. So we were waiting to see what the town of Hyde Park, they have a new assessor, decided to do future, whether they're going to do an income-based or separate lot. It benefits us to also erase the lot lines. So we were planning on pursuing that. It just wasn't happening yet.
Sounds good. Sarah, are you available?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, thank you. In your discussions concerning this project, you've met with the town, and I'm just interested to hear the town's perspective of this project relative to their comprehensive plan.
So yeah, so the town is very supportive of the project. They do recognize that they are having trouble attracting young families into Hyde Park. They have one of the oldest demographic communities in the county, and so they've been working very closely with the developer. They've shown great support for the project, and they're excited. The school district is also supportive of the project, as they recognize that it will bring additional students into the school district. And so it does have municipal support.
Right, thank you.
Also, one thing too is it does, the developer does have, has an existing project in the county and has been well received by the county as well. So they have, the county is confident that they would be able to complete this project.
Right. So what we're looking at today is the initial resolution of inducement. And there's a way to go subject to that before making a final decision. And so we can look forward to making a motion today. I think that if it were possible to have a motion that required the consolidation of that lot, I would certainly be happier. But in terms of today's resolution, would there be someone to make a motion on the board in this regard. Are we ready to do that, or are there further questions?
Active Chairman Doyle, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
25 acres, 50 units. That doesn't seem like that's very dense. I just wonder if more units would benefit the builder and not seeking relief from the IDA.
I don't think they'll give it to them.
Hyde Park?
They had this thing up to 300 units at one time, down to 200 units. The original developer walked away with $3.5 million investment. He said, I'm out of here. So I think the way they're approaching it now is about the only way they're going to get it. I have the property right across the street from it. I know exactly what they're in for. So this is the only approach. If they may be able to add some later, depending on the sewer capacity, but it's not going to be an easy task.
So to both of you then, the desire from the town and the community to go ahead with a project like this is coming from what point of view? We heard Sarah say, more kids in the school district, but is there, it sounds like there is a desire to not have a large number of residential units there. So I'm not sure why we're incentivizing it.
Well,
we have maximized the zoning at this point. So we can't get any more units based on the current zoning. And to go and ask for variances and whatnot, I think would not be received well.
and I think just additionally to discuss, I mean, there's a 50 units on 25 acres looks a lot different than 300 units on 25 acres. We're talking about stacked apartments versus the townhouse single family home feeling that we're now going for because of the density amount, and which then it attracts a whole different demographic as well. We're trying to attract those young families, and by doing the less dense project, that's what's going to be attractive instead of young professionals. If that makes sense. And people want backyards when they have kids, and that kind of works out in that way.
Yeah. We're this is a sort of a new level of project for our IDA in terms of our normal run of business. So this is the reason for this direction of questions, and I want to make sure that the board is fully comfortable with this type of direction.
Oh, no, definitely. Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions. We understand that. And we'd love to help you understand how it works with these kinds of projects.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, giving them preliminary, you'll get them to the town, and I don't know if you know the town of Hyde Park, if they can meet their requirements and they get through them, then it's a benefit to the town at that point, because it is close to the schools. It is very close.
Good. Well, you're very good. And Jamie, did you have any other questions?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion, and we can move forward then?
I'll make a motion for the preliminary approval.
I'll second it.
Bauer, I'll second.
Seconded. And sorry, I'm going a little bit backwards because we had had a discussion about the commercial nature. Are we able to include that consolidation in the resolution? I'm sorry, Sarah, this is in reverse order from making the resolution.
So I will probably ask Don, but since this is a preliminary resolution, it just calls for the allowance of a public hearing. It may be more appropriate in the final resolution where it allows for an execution of the agreement.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like we're fine on the resolution as it stands.
Yeah, and Mr. Doyle, now that we know that that's a priority for you, that was on the back burner first, I will approach the town about erasing the bond. And then we can kind of have a collaborative discussion on what that looks like. But we'll approach the town. Hopefully it won't be too much of a headache to get that done simultaneously.
Yeah, as long as it's clear from the discussion here that this is only a preliminary resolution, and even if it is not a formal condition of granting the preliminary resolution, you're under no obligation to approve the final resolution, and the developer is now aware of your concern. I think that's sufficient.
100% clear. Thank you very much, Don. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Jasmine, would you like to take the roll call, please?
Jamie Picone,
Approve.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Al Torjani,
Approved?
Mark Doyle.
No, not approved. So, despite my dissent, the motion passes.
No, the motion doesn't pass.
Because of our,
Because we need 4 positives and we have 4 in quorum right now. So with your dissent, the motion would not pass.
I understand that. So, I would like to change my vote, but do we need to take another roll call to do that?
Yeah, I think what you need to do is the only person that can call for reconsideration of the motion, because you were the dissent. So if you would then make the motion to reconsider, have that motion then seconded and approved, and then you can then reconsider the resolution.
Oh, very good. I understand. So I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the vote. Look for a second on that.
I'll second it.
Thank you. And we'll take a vote on that, please, Jasmine.
Al Torjani,
Approved?
Jamie Picone,
Approve.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Approved. Oh, very good. So then we will take a motion. We'll have to restate the motion, take the motion and a second for the approval of this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary resolution.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jamie. And Jasmine, would you like to go ahead with the roll call?
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Jamie Picone,
Approve.
Al Torjani,
Approved?
Mark Doyle.
Approved.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So the motion will pass, and then we'll ask Tim Dean and Amy to return to the meeting.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, and we look forward to this, to hearing more about the project. Thanks for attending today.
Great. Thank you. Thank
you
you
all
for
for your
having
time.
us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sarah, I just want to point out that it looked like Al was having some trouble. He was unmuted, but he seems to have left the call. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for
He
your...
had an appointment, so he had to leave after that topic.
Okay, so I'm back. Does that mean that we're ready to move to another project?
Yeah, so the next item on the agenda is the 2020 performance presentation by tourism.
Okay.
Good morning. We have compiled a lengthy report for you, plus the binder that you're used to getting every year. I will walk that over to Sarah after the meeting, and you can all review that as you would like. But it highlights the incredibly hard work that our Dutchess Tourism team, the Arts Mid-Hudson team, and Hudson Valley Film Commission folks did this year to support our businesses and attractions, our visual and performing artists, as well as our film industry. I promise you this presentation will only cover a few of those things because it was a lot. But you know, COVID has been so frustrating for all of us for so many reasons. But I look back and marvel at the trajectory that we were on until COVID punched our collective industries in the gut and kept pounding. The good news is, though, those industries are up off the map and they're fighting back. Down but never out. 88% of travelers last week, American travelers, reported that they have vacations planned for the next 6 months. And so we will keep looking forward with that. But this morning, I'd like to share my screen with you to give you a little bit of an update on some of the things that we've been doing and why your support has been so important from us. Let's see, here we go. All right, so here we are. This is a gorgeous photo from the Ferncliff Forest Fire Tower in Rhinebeck. If you've never been, you should definitely go. If you're afraid of heights, don't worry, you do not have to climb. So we can't start off talking about how we did without talking about why tourism is important to our county and to our whole Hudson Valley region. We did get our report from New York State. It's conducted for New York State by Tourism Economics. It's an Oxford economics company. In November, they let us know that in 2019, spending was up 5% over the year before to $674.2 million just in Dutchess County alone. There's 45.8 million sales tax locally and then additional state sales tax. If you were to total all of that up, each household would need to be taxed an additional $774 to replace those visitor tax that comes from outside the area into our county to boost the economic benefit. That spending was on food and beverage, was the #1 place it was spent. We are a foodie destination. I've said it before, I will continue to say it again. We are spoiled here with the quality of what we have to offer our residents and our visitors. That next category was transportation, followed by lodging, shopping, and recreation. We had 10 consecutive years of growth. It was very exciting to see that graph continue to grow. 26.2% growth in spending from 2015 to 2019. A 24.4% growth in local taxes collected during that 10-year period, or excuse me, that 5-year period, that is. So 2020 is not going to look like that, but we will get back there. Oxford Economics and Tourism Economics are predicting that nationwide we should hit probably 80% of that here in 2021. I think that based on what we're hearing, that's pretty realistic. So one of the things that's been incredibly important with the funding that we received from the Dutchess County IDA is the fact that we were able to invest in excellent photography and video content to build our library. So that comes in the form of still photography, which is used in our digital display ads, our paid and organic social media posts, brochures, guides, websites, shared with journalists, shared with tour operators and travel agents to inspire their customers and for them to plan group trips here because groups spend a lot of money. And a lot of those are older generation people and they were first vaccinated. So we look forward to welcoming them back sooner than we had anticipated. That also paid for high definition video, which hopefully you've seen on our social media channels or on our website. We really think that they are a tremendous draw for people, a great inspiration for those to see those videos that we have. We air them on our, as I said, social website, YouTube channel. And this year, for the first time, we did a Hulu buy. A lot of people were home streaming during the pandemic when they couldn't go out. Some of that B-roll from that footage is also shared with journalists, with film scouts looking for the area for their perfect place for their production, with Brand USA and I Love New York who support us, and area colleges looking to attract students, major corporations to attract staff. So we are not stingy with that because we know that bringing more investment into the area, if we can help with that, with the quality of this video that we have, we are happy to do that. We also created a number of VR videos. We have a lot of content there, so that showcases a number of things. And again, those are on our website, social, YouTube, and that has proved especially popular during the pandemic. A lot of people sitting home were able to enjoy virtual reality experiences, and those were promoted heavily by I Love New York to people sitting at home, so they could get a glimpse of Dutchess from their couch and hopefully plan a trip here. The other thing that we got a lot of is drone video. And if you saw our We Will Fly Again inspirational video last year at the end of April, you'll see that airplane taking off, that biplane from the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome. We had cameras on the ground, cameras strapped to the wing, cameras inside the plane, and a camera on a drone following the aircraft. And that made for really, really great content, inspirational content. And so one of the things that we did at the very end of 2020 is we took a lot of that video, that drone video footage, and we repackaged it. And that's featured this year in a 2020 campaign called Air Dutchess. And that's a monthly series. They're released one every 4 weeks, and they highlight really beautiful footage of a number of places. So far, we've released Bannerman Island. We did one of Beacon. March was the Culinary Institute of America, and then next week we'll be releasing one on Orbis Sandinona and fly fishing. April 1st was the first day of trout season, so it's top of mind for a lot of folks, but we cover Innisfree Gardens, we have Fishkill Farms, we have the Four Brothers Drive-In, we have the city of Poughkeepsie at night with the bridge and the walkway, and Zeus Brewing Company from their rooftop. There's a lot of really great videos out there, and I hope you will check them out. So here you can see some of the advertisements, the print ads. We don't do a lot of print advertising, but we do some. The image on the left was inserted into the Wall Street Journal back in January. That was a Horizon Travel insert that we were a part of. The food ones, you can see that video there, or excuse me, that image there from the Zeus rooftop. That's what's part of our drone video, but that's a still image from that night. Those were part of Valley Table Magazine and our Hudson Valley Restaurant Week promotion with them. And then the top one on the walkway was a Guest Quest advertisement. We did a lot of paid Facebook and Instagram videos, or excuse me, videos and ad carousels this year. Our Facebook followers as a result rose 11.5%. Our Instagram followers rose 17%. Again, people were home scrolling on their phones and looking for content that wasn't political in nature, but fun and inspirational. And so we provided that for them. The top right one is a video. It was our New York's Backyard campaign to show ways to safely be outside and enjoy Dutchess County. And then the bottom set was the ad carousel that if you saw it on your Facebook or your Instagram feed, you would cycle through each one of those images. And it really promoted safe travel practices because we were very conscientious of resident sentiment and travel sentiment. We want people to come and spend their money here, but we want them to do it safely to keep them safe and to keep us safe. So that was a big part of our messaging. We did a number of digital display ads and GIFs. You can see the one moving at the top, again, promoting that safe experience, wearing masks. We want you to come here, but be safe. Some of the other ones, the themes, open water, open trails, open air, Dutchess is open. And then the other ones, our website, our click-throughs from these ads. If you clicked out, if you saw these on the side of your screen as you were maybe reading a news article, people would click through. 151% increase over last year, which was really great for us. So we got a lot of bang for our buck there. And that resulted also in a 4% increase in visitors to our website, where we had 1.3 million last year. We do a lot to promote our farms and our producers. Agritourism is a big part of who we are here in Dutchess County. So there's a video on the top right, our Harvest Memories video, and here's the corresponding ad carousel. So we tried to hit people in a lot of different ways, so they were getting a message over and over and over again to associate those great farms and outdoor experiences with Dutchess County. International marketing the interest remains high. We hit an all-time high, up 63% over 2019 of international visitors to our website. They're scouting it out. Their booking season is usually November, December, January, February. They plan a long time out for those trips. And so we did run promotions last year before the pandemic, gearing up for it. We had great results. And then as things shut down, we still kept in contact with all of our tour operators and our travel agents in Europe, keeping Duchess top of mind. John Hopper in my office does a tremendous job working with those partners. We do have some reps in Germany and the UK who help us out, especially in Germany with the language. Christian is tremendous asset to us there, but she does a great job, and she was able to earn a lot of free advertising for us through her contacts that she's established over the years. So that kept us going during that shutdown time. And then you can see we did some virtual shows in June and October, and then we did a little bit more advertising in December as we saw optimism rise, the vaccine rollout, and so we do hope to see international visitors in Q3 and 4 of this year. Here's 2 of those ads. The one on the left is one of our German ads. The one on the right is from Essentially America. That's a UK edition. That page actually scrolls down to show 6 more photos and blurbs about different things people can do here. There's also a German version of that. We partner with Arts Mid-Hudson. Money from the IDA goes through Duchess to them. They worked incredibly hard to pivot. Their Partners in the Arts grant program funded a number of projects. Some of the key ones you can see here, where they had to use Facebook Live and social media and other ways to reach people. And it was the silver lining was that they were able to reach people in a lot of other countries, a lot of other places, and garner more views than they would have necessarily for a live event. And so that adds interest and the potential to travel to Dutchess County. The WASAIC project did some in-person COVID-friendly outdoor programming, including some really neat projections they did on the side of Maxon Mills, which is the old mill that houses part of the WASAIC project. It's this huge structure out there. So that was really, really cool programming that they did. They also host a number of events themselves and gallery exhibitions. They host a weekly action, arts and community action meetings. Lots of attendees. I've been, and it's a great group of folks. It changes week to week, but they do a lot of collaboration, a lot of partner promoting, and it's really grown tremendously over the past year. It was a great support, especially during COVID. Arts Mid-Hudson did some great in-person pre-pandemic gallery shows and then pivoted to virtual. Some of you may be familiar with the Arts in the Loft competition that they do with Millbrook Vineyards and Winery. This year you could vote online and see those labels in their virtual gallery, and that was pretty neat. They also expanded their Duchess Handmade pop-up shop. They moved for COVID to a larger space at the Trolley Barn, partnering with the Artifact, and those artists did very well and had a great experience and earned, you know, good money for their artwork there at a time when it's hard to do that, where most of them don't have their own online shops. So this is a way for them to get their products and their creations out to the public. Hudson Valley Film Commission had a record Q1 in 2020, over $7 million in direct spending. A number of productions came here, and then COVID happened. We did have an update in September and talked about how they pivoted using social media to promote the hundreds of films that have been produced here to keep it top of mind for people. They did a streaming kind of festival every day and highlighted those things. So people said, oh, I didn't know that was made here. And then they would watch and see and be inspired to visit or to bring their production here. So that return to filming has happened. Oops, let's go back a page. There we go. A lot of big stars have been in Dutchess County. You may have seen some, but the Sixth Reel, the Greenvale, Linoleum, the Hanen a lot of big productions brought in some good results for us. Now, I would tell you that we had a record year in 2019 with 46 million spent. The year before that, it was 29.5 million. The year before that, it was in the teens. So even with COVID shutdown, we still had 12.2 million in direct regional spending from film productions coming to the area. You could see the number of rooms rented, over 10,000, all the production days, the locations used, local crew members hired was 202, 237 members came from outside the area. That is not a bad thing. That is a good thing, because what happens is they come here, then their friends come visit here, they come back, they vacation here. Some have moved here because they love the area so much. They do stay in our hotels, they do get gym memberships, they do shop in our stores. So that's not a bad thing that we have those additional outside crew members coming to there, because then they will become local ones. Lots of local actors employed as well. And they asked me to let you know that the outlook for 2021 is strong. Already in the first quarter of this year, 3,000 room nights have been booked. And that's really important, because the first quarter is always a downtime for our hotels. It is not the busy tourist season. So having hotels rooms filled because of these productions has been great for those lodging properties. Really, really important. In the second quarter, we've got Hulu and Warner Brothers coming. That was from legwork done last fall, and they have confirmed that they will be filming here in Dutchess this quarter. They plan to book almost over 2,400 rooms, so that's great news. Working on productions with Viacom and Disney and others for the third quarter. I hear there may be snow in August here for some of those, so we'll see what happens. But again, referring a lot of local crew, referring a lot of locations, working with potential series. Series we know are great because those are months and months long, and that boost that economic impact on our county. So those are really, really important for us to attract to our area. So just one thing to note, you may have seen some articles about all the things that are happening in Orange County, and that's exciting, but that doesn't just benefit Orange County, it benefits us too. Those productions happening at Umbra Stages across the river, they stay here in our Fishkill hotels. So that's great, because not only do we get those room nights, we get that bed tax, that sales tax, and then they do also end up doing a lot of filming here in addition to that studio production. And one thing that's not on here that I will mention is that Laurent Rejo with the Hudson Valley Film Commission worked hard at the end of last year to get the soundstage at iPark as a qualified New York State production facility, which is really important for those New York State film tax credits. Tax credits from the state don't go to actors, they don't go to directors, it's for all below the line costs and for post-production costs that happen here. So without those tax credits, these productions would not be here. What we saw that take off when they were installed a couple of years ago, and the difference was dramatic in the amount of spending that films did here. And part of getting those tax credits is they have to film partly at a qualified soundstage. And so now this iPark one is the largest one that we have here in Dutchess County, and we look forward to film productions using it. So that is a super fast run through what we have to talk about today. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
I think it's fantastic seeing one of the first slides you had that the subsidy to the county taxpayers of about $700 is incredible.
744.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Well, and it's important because it's outside money coming into the county. It's not taxing our residents, and it gets funneled back into parks and roads and bridges and police and fire and everything else. And so it is important for residents to understand that economic impact of tourism.
Who owns the soundstage in iPark?
That is an excellent question. I do not know the answer to off the top of my head, but I am happy to get that information for you.
I take it it's a private venture?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
No, that's okay.
We have been trying to get in touch with them because we wanted to do a news release, and it has been a little bit challenging, and
Okay.
So we're working on it. I will.
Okay.
I do know that name. I do have that name. I don't know it off the top of my head.
That's okay. You can
I'd
get
like
back to us with that.
I'd like to say from the farming sector that the steady increase in agritourism has made a huge difference to the region and to the opportunities that young farmers are seeing with that regard. There's any number of opportunities and job possibilities as a result of having tourists interested in our products. And that ranges from, you know, straightforward fruits and vegetables, but also to all the value-added products. And in particular, of course, you know, the alcoholic beverages that have just really taken off. So it's quite impressive. It's a really impressive combination of resources.
Great.
I don't know if anyone is familiar with Samantha Brown and her Emmy Award-winning PBS Travel and Adventure show, but we worked with them last fall and they came here. They've been living in Millbrook during COVID at their home, and they wanted to show some love to their COVID home here, and they produced a show that was just released this past Saturday. You can watch it on her website, 30 minutes of a love letter to Dutchess County, and it is fantastic. I'm just so incredibly proud, and I've been following the comments on social media. People say, oh, I've been to the walkway, or oh, I love Eleanor Roosevelt, or oh, I didn't know about Orvis Sandinona and all the things you could do in Dutchess. And you know, trying not to be a creeper troll, but if anybody said, oh, I want to visit there, you know, I need some more information, I was like, ooh, here's DutchessTourism.com, you know, or filling in and answering any questions I can for people. But I encourage everybody to check it out, and I'm happy to share that link with you all too, so you can watch it, and please share it, because when you share, you know, that's a personal recommendation to your friends and family, and that holds more weight than an ad that I could place. You know, ads help, but it's those personal recommendations. And when you all invite your friends and family to come visit you here, again, that's more money, because you go do things that you don't normally do here, you know, unless you're on vacation. So if you bring people here, you'll get to experience a fun vacation in Dutchess County, and so will they. So I encourage you to do that.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Thank you so much, Melanie. It was a great presentation, and we look forward to tourism getting back, you know, to where it was.
Absolutely.
All right, Sarah, it looks like next IDA LDC 2020 performance outcomes is the next item.
Yes. So
Okay.
I am proud to present our 2020 outcomes. We had a very, very busy year last year, despite a worldwide pandemic. We did have to pivot on some of the work, but that did not hinder the work that we did. So with that, something that, you know, typically I present the report, but I'm going to turn it over to my staff, and so that they can showcase the work they did. So the first up, we're going to talk about our business attraction efforts led by Chris.
Hello, everyone. As Sarah stated, I'm Chris Glancy, Director of Business Attraction. I'm going to go over our 2020 numbers. Overall, we had about 51 requests for information from businesses during the year. Out of those requests, we were able to attract 3 new businesses: DocuWare, Amazon, and Bowtie Cinemas. Those 3 projects created 632 jobs. Over the lifetime of those projects, 587, which are in our priority sectors. Those projects also attracted capital of $158 million. And unfortunately, due to COVID, we were only able to attend 1 trade show, but we're hoping to attend more this year in the later half of the year. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask away.
So actually what we'll do is we'll reserve the questions to the end,
Okay.
so that we can kind of go through the presentation, if that's okay. Next up, talking about our business retention program is Renee Richard.
Yes, hi. So I am Renee Richard, Director of Business Retention and Expansion for Think Dutchess. And as far as the year 2020 in review, was able to complete 65 site visits with existing companies in the Dutchess County area. 121 unique businesses were assisted. There were 154 referrals to our partners. And 3 examples of businesses that were met with and provided assistance to were Baby Vision, located in LaGrange, Loopy Mango, and Schatz Bearing Corporation. that completes my slide.
And then also part of our business retention program, what I call a subset, is our entrepreneurial services that we provide. And so as part of that, last year, we were able to certify 5 businesses in Dutchess County as MW, or assist them getting their designation as 5 MWBE, which is the Minority Women's Business Enterprise designation that carries a lot of weight for them for state and federal government contracting. We also hosted 2 entrepreneurial courses, certifications, one in English, one in Spanish. This year, we typically do that over a 13-week course that is held in person, but this year they were held online. The Spanish was a little bit challenging because we find that the Spanish businesses don't have as much access to internet. So it was some of that incorporated training on and delivering through smartphones. So, but that actually prepared us well for delivering services in the future and moving forward. So we think we are going to continue to hold some virtual certification courses virtually. We also were able to host 18 virtual seminars. 2 were in person earlier in this year, and then the rest were held virtually. 57 Dutchess County businesses participated in those seminars. We also, through our accelerator contract, we were able to work with 9 Dutchess County entrepreneurs. One of the startups we were able to recruit and have them relocate to Dutchess County. We were also able to connect the startups with mentors and advisors, and then connect additional 4 to investment, which exceeded our goal by 33%. Next slide. We have Rachel, who's going to speak about marketing.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know if you can see my face because you're seeing my screen sharing the slides here. But as Melane's presentation really proved, digital and social media communications was really critical in 2020. So the strong foundation that we already built was really important and was able to let us kind of shift and react to get some really great results this year, despite all of the challenges. In terms of website performance, once again, we continued to increase website traffic, reaching more than 42,000 visitors. We also saw a 12% increase in the number of new users to our site, which was really interesting, and a 2% decrease in our bounce rate. So people were really staying on our site, consuming more of our information. On social media, we continued that same forward movement, increasing all of our social media accounts, seeing a 27% growth on Instagram. And really a standout here was the explosive growth on LinkedIn, really 73% growth on LinkedIn, which, you know, in a time where travel and networking was really impacted, this really kind of was our channel to be able to grow those connections and maintain the connections that we already had with our business community. So this was a super exciting stat to be able to see. Finally, we had our Digital Ambassadors program that we continued this year. If you recall, at the end of 2019, we did a soft launch of the program, starting with about 19 total users. In 2020, we nearly doubled the program. So we're excited to keep this going. This program really made its most significant impact at the height of the quarantine period, when everybody was kind of craving lots of connections to people and really wanted to see other people. And when we launched a little video series in the spring during Economic Development Week, what we saw was an increase not only in signups for the program, but on our social media posts, those posted 300% better than most of our average posts. So this was exciting because it really speaks to, again, what Melaine was touching on earlier, in that when you're sharing the messaging, it gets organically to your friends. It really gets that message across well. And it really makes a bigger impact than any kind of advertising that we can really do. I had a little snippet here of Brian's video, which we recorded. I think we're having some sound issues though on it. I'm going to let Brian kind of take over for a second if he wants to talk about that, because I think we were having some sound issues. But he's been a critical support for me on the marketing committee as the chair of our marketing committee. And if he wants to speak a little to the program, he can right there.
Yeah, I mean, very quickly, good morning, Brian Powers, chair of the marketing committee. Just really quickly, this was in line with our internal marketing plan for the committee and the county, and to get really the folks that are influencers are out in our community and out in the Hudson Valley, really spreading the message and all the good things that are going on in the county, not only with economic development, but with tourism as well. So this was just, in line to grow that over the last, 2 years, and moving forward, continue with the steady growth, and really, like I said, spreading the message and getting folks that live here waving that Dutchess County flag, so that when we're attracting businesses, people, see that and it's apparent.
Yeah, so in addition to that ambassador program, we also, we limited our amount of advertising a lot this year, but we did still collaborate a lot and make sure that we had some good campaigns going. Mostly they were to really, help our business community kind of navigate the different sections of the pandemic, and, not only in response as far as financial and regulatory information, but really getting people to support our businesses out there. So we worked with the Dutchess County Business Notification Network. We created the Resilience in Crisis video, a kind of video supporting small businesses as they kind of reopened. We worked with Dutchess Tourism for several initiatives as well, including the Takeout Tuesday campaign, which was very successful. The Shop Dutchess badge we designed to kind of help when we started navigating the reentry period. It was a way for businesses to showcase that they were open. And then during the holidays, we worked with tourism again on the Mask Up Dutchess campaign, and that just made sure we remained open and we remained healthy, and it showcased, that our businesses were really doing a lot to not only support the economy, but to support their patrons and stay safe during that time. Obviously, events were significantly impacted, and this was the first time in over 20 years that we couldn't hold our annual Business Excellence Awards. So we had to pivot and go to a virtual platform. This was definitely new to me and our organization, but we were really excited because we hosted this first virtual event on YouTube, and it actually got around 300 views already, which is really the same amount of attendance that we would have at the in-person event. So it shows that we were able, this was a good investment to be able to connect with that audience. They were really craving that engagement. They really wanted to celebrate these businesses. And that was kind of proven in the fact that we weren't looking to make this event a fundraising event like we typically do every year. We weren't really focused on, raising the sponsorships and advertising. It was offered, but that wasn't our main focus. However, we were able to really bring in over $30,000 in total sponsorships and advertising revenue. So that just shows again that our community really does support its businesses and wants to celebrate that. So we were really happy to hear that. Typically, we would have a lot more in that, but we were really proud of those numbers, and we were really proud to see the people there. I think perhaps this year our biggest results and that we're most proud of is really in our earned media category. We worked really closely with DCI again. It's a great contract that we have, and I love the partnership there with DCI. We were able to secure over 25 media placements, and things covered topics like the pandemic response, obviously, talent, livability, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And the results that we get from that kind of help support all the different industries that we really do talk about and that really kind of impact and attract everyone to the area. I'll let Kat from DCI kind of go over things here. Just unmute
Sure.
her.
Yep, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to participate today. And as Rachel said, it's just been a phenomenal year. I said to Brian earlier, I don't think that in March you could have told me that we'd have this level of results during a pandemic, but it's been phenomenal. What's been interesting, I think, about the program this year, and I think it's interesting for this audience, is that we've had businesses proactively reach out to us to collaborate on public relations and marketing. And that is something that's been a long time in the making. You know, we're now seen as kind of a extended arm of their own business plan and marketing environment. Unlimited Tomorrow regularly collaborates with us. You know, Uncharted Power, Unshattered. We just had a really nice partnership with local businesses in the community. And I would encourage all of you on this call today that, you know that we're here to tell your story too, as part of the success of the county. You'll see some of the highlights here. One of the things we found in 2020 was that public sector response and private sector response to the pandemic was something that really drove reputation. There was just a real appetite for knowing what people were doing at the local level. So that was definitely part of our program, along with the livability element. And Dutchess County was so well positioned this year with, you know, the exodus from the city and people looking for, you know, greener, more livable spaces. So that was a key driver of our program. The innovation story, you know, you've got some great champions right now in the community who are really excited to partner with Think Dutchess and get the word out about all the innovative things that are going on at the local level. And then again, you know, not forgetting that manufacturing element, you know, great focus there, and a lot of the local partners who've been in the community for, you know, 50+ years have been part of our PR program this year. And one thing that we added to the program is just not forgetting that, and Melaine mentioned this as well, that regional element of outreach. It was super important this year with everything being so local and regionalized that we made sure that we were elevating Think Dutchess in the local community too. So we've had some great success there, and that's actually continued. We've got a couple stories in the works right now at the local level that will help elevate the business message for the county. So great year, great results, and I'm available for questions. I think, Sarah, if we're at the end of the presentation here.
And then just real quickly is, you know, in 2020, we induced 6 projects, all of which are expected to start construction this year. So you have the Amazon project, the Arthur S. May redevelopment, the Violet Estates in Hyde Park, Hatfield Metal, 2328 Creek Drive, also known as the DocuWare building, and then ShopRite as part of Hudson Heritage. And then we have the 2 projects, the 2 bond projects for Bard College and for Vassar College. So with that, that concludes our presentation. I don't know if the board had any questions for any of the staff.
We go back to the first slide very quickly.
How'd you make out? How'd you do?
He's measuring, so kind of give an estimate.
Okay. I'm sorry,
the
the
bridge
second
photo
slide.
or the business attraction there?
This next one right there. Bowtie Cinemas I see is listed. What is the status of that project?
So Bowtie Cinema, they have purchased the former Electra building.
It'll take you 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I need to remind folks to mute their phones or their sound if they're not speaking. Thank you.
So the Bowtie Cinema has purchased the building. They're currently, I think, under the planning process in the city of Poughkeepsie. They are hoping with now the COVID restrictions being lifted and now the return to movie theaters, that they do expect to start all things moving forward, perhaps starting construction on that building 4th quarter of this year, if not in 2022.
And then if you could move one more slide forward for me, just to, can you tell me what, just very briefly, what we did for these 3 listed entities? Particularly Schatz, I know, is a long-time manufacturer here. What do we do for them?
So they were part of our business, our site visit program, our call visit program. Mm-hmm. So every year we check in with these businesses, and Schatz especially for last year, we assisted them with, they were getting a state, they had gotten a CFA grant a couple years ago. So they were having trouble collecting some of their state grants. So we were able to intervene and get their reimbursement for their grants and their projects.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay.
I would love to say congratulations to all of you for having made so much out of the COVID time and been able to transition to operating remotely and yet actually increasing the amount of business and contacts that you've made. So really well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, I noticed that you had in our handouts, you have a Think Dutchess Business Attraction Program 2020 Outcomes Report, which summarizes some of the things that you just discussed. One of the things is the Real Estate Committee, strategies for better utilizing commercial industrial properties and site identification you have as a goal 1. What is the status of that particular category? Anything?
So I'll have Chris talk a little bit about that, but that Build Ready site was actually West Campus, with Amazon.
Okay, you have it as a target, but you didn't list it as an achievement.
So yeah, so I mean, the committee target was to develop one, and then it was like kind of like taken before.
Oh, I see.
Also, we were going to utilize Empire State Development because they have a similar program, but they put that on the back burner for COVID, so we couldn't kind of work with them on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is ESD is trying to resurrect their Build New York program. Actually, if you go to their Build New York website right now, they list Westage as a development ready property. So it's very, very outdated. So in anticipating the resurrection, we were taking some of the qualifications for Build Ready and trying to prepare some properties. We had identified West Campus as one, but then it got taken before.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for the presentation. And I think we can, I think that concludes everything on our agenda. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So we're going to adjourn this meeting. And do we need to take a break for a few seconds to allow for the break in the recording and starting of the LDC meeting?
So, I'm sorry?
I think that's more than enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's move to the why am I do we have an LTC? No, we don't have an LTC meeting, so we can adjourn and okay, so I apologize, I got a little confused there. I'd like to thank everybody for hanging in there with us today. It was a long meeting, but we covered a lot of good things, so I appreciate it, and we'll see you the next time.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.